What do you think is evidence-based practice?
For me, evidence-based practice is taking what all the researchers are doing and the results that they're finding and applying it to our everyday practice at the schools, clinics, wherever it is that we are serving as athletic trainers.
Okay. Um, how do you feel like you actually utilize evidence-based practice in the athletic training facility?
Um, some things are kind of more difficult than others, but the easier ones that I feel like I use on a more regular basis are related to things like taping and bracing and things that we can actually apply ourselves. So, for example, like if a kid comes in and says that they want their ankles taped and they've never rolled their ankle before, I can say, well, I know for a fact with ankles that taping or bracing your ankle if you've never sprained it before is not going to actually help you. So then instead, I'll give them another alternative. So it's just things like that that I know won't work based on the literature, or things that will work that I'll encourage them to do. Um, so things like that.
Okay. Um, do you feel prepared to practice evidence-based techniques?
For the most part, yeah, I know I need to read up more on literature now that I'm out of school, but I think because I'm still only 1 year out from my master's, that I'm pretty prepared.
Yeah. What specifically do you do in your own clinical practice to continue to enhance your understanding of EVP now that you have graduated?
Um, well, my goal was to try to read the articles as they come out on the Journal of Athletic Training. I started that pretty well at first, but then I got really busy in the spring, so I haven't been able to keep up on that. So it's just things like I'm just keeping up in the literature, and then Mercy Health is really good about having courses for us every month to bring us in together and talk about things that have come out in the literature, or just to keep us up to date on stuff. And we're even having like a yearly or an annual meeting this year that covers a lot of different things. And some concussion stuff is actually what we're talking about. And I think the vestibular aspect of it, one of the doctors is just sent out a survey to us about what we currently do. And then he's going to give us a talk and then survey us again as to what we plan to do differently. So it's nice working for a hospital where they have these opportunities for us to keep up to date on what the evidence is saying.
Definitely. So since you have a hospital group with a lot of athletic trainers, can you tell me how many athletic trainers work in your practice?
Oh, quite a bit. I would say about 25.
Okay, and do you feel like you guys keep each other accountable to keep up with EVP? And
I would say yeah. We also started recently this like senior mentor group thing where there's like these older athletic trainers. They lead groups, and what they do is they meet once a month before our monthly meetings, and then they bring up things like the football helmet with the EMS, like that sort of thing, making sure that we're on the same protocol. And so we move and then we have smaller groups together as well to discuss individually what we're doing. So we have the message that Mercy sends out to us, as well as just individually working together what we're doing at our schools that the literature is telling us that we should be doing, and making sure that everyone's holding themselves accountable.
wow, that's really awesome. So um, when you were in your undergrad and graduate programs, did you talk a lot about EVP?
At times it depends on the class and the professor and that sort of thing. I'd say they did a decent job in both of the two programs of incorporating that. I think it helped know that I did my own research as well, and that just kind of infiltrated itself into my practice. But it's kind of hard sometimes in the classes to get the textbook readings as well as the journal article reading done. That it's I don't know, it's hard.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So how much experience do you feel like you have with EVP?
Don't really know how to measure exactly, but I'd say I have a fair amount. I think compared to some of the people that came out before evidence-based practice became such an important aspect. For example, I know that some of the things that we discuss in our meetings that we have, I feel like is redundant for someone like me because I already do that or already know that because I just came out of school. Whereas these people have been practicing for 10 plus years, they're like, oh, I'm glad they brought this to my attention. I didn't realize this. And so I'm over there not really paying as much attention because, again, I already know it, but to them, it's great. So I feel like in a way I'm good, but at the same time, because I don't have that the still clinical experience to go along with the evidence, it's kind of a win lose in a way.
Yeah. Do you feel as though it's the duty of like either the NATA or maybe the BOC or really just the overseeing bodies of athletic training to like make sure that we keep up with EBP? For example, we have to get our EBP CEUs each year. Do you feel like that's important, or do you think that should be left up to each individual clinician to do what they think is appropriate?
Yeah, I think it's good because they're kind of the overseers, and then they force someone like our hospital to then make sure that we are given the opportunities that we need. It's especially difficult, I think, for those people that maybe work for the school and don't necessarily have a hospital attached to them or something like that. And so I think it's good to have the NATA available for them instead of those of us. If there weren't the NATA, I think the hospital would still have us do things like this. Maybe not be as hard ass, if you want to say, about it, but they would still encourage us to have these meetings where we discuss up to date literature, stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you want to share about EBP or your experiences with EBP? I feel, I think that really covered a lot of
Yeah.
areas. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.